just woke up one day and well, I didn't just wake up one day. I knew I was getting ready to leave. I had already planned the exit strategy.
Oh, wow.
You want to know what will kill a relationship more than cheating on someone? Getting lazy in a relationship. And I don't mean lazy in a way where you let yourself go or get fat or get unattractive. No, what I actually mean by lazy is you stop putting an effort into your relationship.
For most of my marriage, I looked loved, but I did not feel seen. Not fully, not deeply, not the way I needed to.
There's been a lot of conversation lately about women leaving good men or women walking away from a man that's a quote unquote good man. And I think a part of the problem is that a lot of men define themselves as good men and they actually aren't.
There was something in me that made me believe that because he wasn't doing the things that he had vowed to do, that I was somehow at fault, and that in a good marriage, you cover those things up. You cover for your husband. You have your husband's back.
One of the most painful but liberating things that I have had to learn and accept over the last year, now that I'm going to be going through this divorce with my husband, is the fact that he doesn't like me.
Whenever you do make someone else a priority in your life, thinking that it'll result in you getting more, you literally do the exact opposite. And instead of you getting more out of that relationship, you actually get less, because the more that they realize that you're able to reward their bare minimum actions, the more they're going to continue to be bare minimum.
I used to feel lonely in my marriage. I felt like I was the only grown up in the relationship.
I'm going to hurt a lot of men's feelings with this one. But the reason why a lot of your parents and grandparents stay together for so long isn't necessarily because the relationship was healthy. It's because the women in those generations were financially trapped. You see, a woman back then couldn't just pick up her bags and leave. She relied on a man for survival. So she stayed and she endured.
People love to ask why a woman would ever walk away from a good man. But no one stops to ask what she was silently sacrificing to stay in that relationship. Today, we are diving into the hidden stories, the quiet heartbreaks, and the internal battles behind those decisions. If you are tired of surface level talk, this is definitely the place for you. Hit the subscribe button and let's get started.
For most of my marriage, I looked loved, but I did not feel seen. Not fully, not deeply, not the way I needed to. So we had the date nights. He'd say the right things.
You look hot. You look amazing.
And I'd smile like, okay, cool. This is what it's supposed to be, right? We go out, we come home. Sometimes we'd even get intimate. But still, there was this like quiet ache in me. Like I was performing closeness and he was watching the show from a different room. And it messes with you because everything looks fine. You're checking all the boxes. You've got a partner. You're going through the motions. But deep down, you feel like you're disappearing one date night at a time. I remember getting dressed up, putting in the effort. Like I like wearing makeup. I put on the lashes, the heels, the whole production. And I'd still end up hoping that a stranger might look at me like I mattered. Not because I wanted anyone else, but because I was starving to feel desired. Not you look nice desired, but I see you desire. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And for a long time, I thought that was my flaw, that I was just being ungrateful. I was being needy. I was being dramatic. Like, girl, do some breath work and calm the fuck down. I figured I needed therapy or to journal it away. I don't know. Or maybe just lower my expectations and be happy I wasn't out here dodging red flags. But recently, I learned something that reframed everything. Learned something about my husband. Something that made all those moments of emotional absence finally make sense to me. And I'm not going to go into detail. It is not my thing to expose. But I will say this. When a person is struggling with an addiction that disconnects them from reality, from empathy, from emotional presence, you can feel it, even if you can't name it, even if they're still showing up on paper. And the wildest part, this kind of addiction is not rare. 1 in 10 men suffer from this addiction. That's the statistic. And the side effects, emotional numbness, lack of empathy, disinterest, shame, basically everything that'll make you feel like you're in a relationship alone. So if you're a woman who feels like you're doing everything right, but still feel invisible in your relationship, please know it might not be about your worth. It's almost never about your worth. It might be about his wiring. And that rewiring didn't start with you. It started long before you ever walked in. And no, that doesn't make the pain go away. It doesn't undo the night you sat there wondering if it was just in your head. But it can help you stop internalizing what was never yours to carry. Because love without presence isn't love. It's performance. And your soul will always know the difference.
Just woke up one day and I didn't just wake up one day. I knew I was getting ready to leave. I had already planned the exit strategy.
Oh, wow. Okay, hold up. How long before you took the exit was your exit strategy in place?
Oh, man, it was already a few months. I already knew.
Oh, really?
I'd already start shifting.
Bank
Y'all go,
accounts.
listen, I don't want to get attacked on the internet.
You
but
going
yes,
to.
I had already started shifting everything that I needed to shift.
What was the dynamic in the house between you two? Was he still waking up in the morning, hey babe, have a good day, kiss on the cheek, whatever? Or was it sleeping in
I still
different
did that. I still did my
come on,
part.
Man. Come on, bruh. Come on.
Listen,
what?
the day he had to leave, I cooked breakfast in bed.
Oh, you toxic. Hold up. We need to talk about the toxicity here. Hold up. What? Where was the communication that women want? Where was all...
Listen, as a wife, I was still doing what I was supposed to do as a wife. And so, yeah, the dynamics in the house.
You made him his last meal.
His last meal, the day he had to go.
Why I divorced my husband at the age of 27. One of the main things I had to come to terms with is doing more for anyone in your life will not result in you being a priority. Now, these are just overall truths that I've learned since I was married to my husband, and not so much so getting into the nitty-gritty details of why we decided to separate, because I don't want that to ever be attached to my name publicly. And I also just don't want to paint anyone in a bad light, because I also take accountability for a lot of the things that happen in the relationship, and the specifics should be kept private. Whenever you do make someone else a priority in your life thinking that it'll result in you getting more, you literally do the exact opposite. And instead of you getting more out of that relationship, you actually get less, because the more that they realize that you're able to reward their bare minimum actions, the more they're going to continue to be bare minimum. If I'm able to get the best out of doing the least, I'm going to continue to do the least. And that's something that I had to learn for sure. Now, this next one I've learned is going to shoot you in the foot every single time until you listen. And that is ignoring the red flags. Baby, let me tell y'all, God gave you an intuition for a reason. And if you decide to ignore that intuition, you're gonna pay for it every single time. It's basically like that analogy when the guy was in the ocean and he was like, God, please come save me. And he sent him 3 different boats and he passed up on each of the boats every single time. And then he was like, God, why didn't you save me? And God was like, I sent you 3 boats. That's the exact same thing. He's letting you know these are the red flags, and if you decide to ignore them, you're just gonna have to deal with those consequences. And when I tell you I ignored every single boat, baby, you would have thought I was a fish. When you think you can ignore it and it's gonna get better, I promise you it will only get worse. Now, the next thing I wanna talk about is being valued. A man who values and respects you will never pass up on an opportunity to celebrate you or to make you feel special or to make you feel like you are appreciated. And no matter how much you may beg him to do something, he's not gonna do it, baby, if he does not want to. Because as the saying goes, if he wanted to, he would. And that is just the harsh reality that I had to realize in life. Is if he wanted to, he would have done that already. And don't allow people to tell you that saying, you have to explain it and overly communicate it to a man, because sometimes men are slow. Men are not slow. Men are created to lead us. So how can they be slow and we be smarter than them? And I'm not trying to say that in every situation that you don't have to explain something to your partner to get him to understand. But I'm just saying, if it's repeated things that he's not doing, sis, he does not want to do those things. Trust the actions and not the words. I truly realized what I deserved out of a relationship. And you have to make sure that the person you decide to bring children into the world with is a person that you like, a person that you would want your kids to mirror.
You want to know what will kill a relationship more than cheating on someone? Getting lazy in a relationship. And I don't mean lazy in a way where you let yourself go or get fat or get unattractive. No, what I actually mean by lazy is you stop putting an effort into your relationship. You stop doing date nights. You stop complimenting each other. You stop maybe getting cute once in a while to go on a date. You stop asking how their day was. You stop randomly calling them. You stop sending them flirty texts. All of these things take effort, time, energy, intention. And if you stop doing them, I promise you, your relationship will not grow. And most of the time, I just see those relationships end really badly because you guys start looking at other things because you're not feeling seen and heard in your relationship. So this is just a testament. If you're in a relationship, don't get lazy.
I didn't want to speak about this, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it since this topic keeps coming up. I love him to death. He's still one of the best men I've ever had in my life. He has amazing qualities. He's kind, he's loving, he's funny, hardworking, and I will always respect him for that. But love alone is not enough. It's definitely not enough to keep two people together. We both tried, we really did. But somewhere along the way, we realized that we don't see eye to eye in a lot of things. We're not equally yoked. Our spirits just move differently. And no matter how much you love someone, if you're not aligned spiritually and mentally, it's hard to grow together. Instead of forcing something that's breaking both of us, we decided to release each other with love. I'm not angry at all. I'm not bitter. I'm actually grateful. I'm grateful that I experienced real love, even though it didn't last forever. Honestly, I wish him the best. And the next woman that dates him, that marries him, is going to be so happy because he has so many beautiful qualities. And I hope she brings out the best in him the same way I try to. Sometimes letting go is the most loving thing you can do. And even though our marriage ended, the love and respect will always remain. Everything doesn't have to end ugly. Sometimes it just ends peacefully. And I feel like that's okay. I won't revisit this thing again with my husband's situation. Just know that I still love him, but it's over. And I wish him the best in everything. And I'll see y'all guys on the next video.
If you're not happy, if you fucking know in your soul, in your gut, that you are not with the person that you're meant to be with, leave. I used to feel lonely in my marriage. I felt like I was the only grown up in the relationship. I lost all interest in intimacy because for me, it's a mental and emotional thing. So if I've lost respect for you, I'm not going to want to sleep with you. And I was in therapy on antidepressants, having anxiety attacks. He wasn't a bad guy, but he wasn't the guy for me. And I knew that my daughter deserved a better version of her mom and also a better example of what a relationship is, what a marriage is, what love looks like, the way you should be communicating, the way you should be treating each other, the way you should be looking at each other. And I am so grateful for the relationship that I'm in now because she gets to see what respect and love really looks like. She gets to hear and be a part of productive conversations, not arguments, not yelling and screaming and slamming doors and throwing things, conversations. They don't have to be a horrible person for them to not be your person.
We were married for 6 years, got a divorce, which was painful. And I'm crying because I'm so happy. And it's not a shade thing. He looks fantastic. He seems like he's in such a good space. But I never thought I would be able to sit across from him, see him, and it have no effect on me. Like, I didn't feel the need to over-explain myself to present as anything other than who I was. I didn't feel this need to show like, oh, I'm doing so good. Like, I'm good without you. Like, it was just like, he was like, how's the life? I was like, I'm happy. And I'm so grateful to God, because as painful as so much of my journey being single has been, every different step, every different relationship, friendship, interaction, like, it's all prepared me. And when I sat across from him, I wanted the best for him, and I hope he's happy, and it came from a genuine place. And to know that I sat there and was just like, I hope you're good. And I want to cry because it's like happy tears, just like when you're in it, you don't know when you're gonna get out. You don't know when it's over. And I say this for the person who's in it. It's like, I can't see my life without, I don't know what it looks like. It's not easy, and it takes time, but your heart does heal, and it loves again, and it's happy again, and it gets happy again.
The guilt and shame from wanting to leave a man that is good but not the one, it can be debilitating. I know, because I left a 12-year relationship with a good but not the one for me man. But here's the thing, staying with them is worse for them. They deserve to be with someone who wants to be there, who loves them, who sees a future with them, who sees a life with them. If you are staying with them out of pity, out of guilt, out of feeling bad because you're not brave enough to make that decision, that's not fair to them. Let them go and give them the opportunity to go find someone that is for them, that is their person, that is sure about them. And in that, you're also going to give yourself the opportunity to find the same. So if you're feeling these feelings of guilt and shame, flip the script like that, because it's actually worse to stay with them when you don't actually want to be there.
I want to bring up something that I don't think we talk about very often, and that's just how difficult it is to leave a marriage or a long-term relationship to a nice guy. And this isn't to diminish how challenging it is to end a relationship to someone who is clearly not being so nice to you. That also takes a ton of courage and self-compassion to work your way through. When you're with someone who's really kind and you've been feeling unfulfilled for a while, it is really hard to understand that it's the lack of connection and emotional intimacy in the relationship that is leading to your dissatisfaction. You can't bear the thought that it is. So you will deceive yourself. You will essentially gaslight yourself and say that it's your career or the stress of raising kids or anything else beside your relationship.
One of the most painful but liberating things that I have had to learn and accept over the last year, now that I'm going to be going through this divorce with my husband, is the fact that he doesn't like me. Like, he doesn't like me as a person at all. And I don't even know if he ever really liked me. I do believe that he loved me. I do believe that, very much so. And I feel like even now, you know, we've been together for 20 years, married for 17 years. Like, even now, I think that he still has like a love for me and a care, sort of. But he does not like me at all. And that has been so hard to accept, and because the concept of it was just unbelievable to me. How could you marry me? How could you vow to spend the rest of your life with me? How could we have these amazing kids together and we've constructed this entire life as partners together, and you don't even like me as a person? Obviously, there were signs the entire time that he didn't like me. And of course, I spent a lot of time and a lot of mental and emotional energy just rationalizing, making excuses for why he was treating me the way that he was treating me. But the idea that was because he didn't like me was just completely inconceivable to me. just over this last year, particularly doing a lot more reading, listening to other women's stories, and a lot more having a bigger understanding of like marriage and relationships has really gotten me in this place to finally accept what was the truth that was sitting in front of me this entire time. It's been super, super painful. A painful process, and I'm still going through it. You know, my husband and I are still living together because of finances, but we are going to be splitting up probably within the next 6 months, and it's really hard. But it does remind me that I'm doing the right thing. It does tell me, the fact that I'm even acknowledging that truth and accepting it is saying I'm making real progress to healing, progress to like loving and liking myself. This is a good sign.
Why I divorced such a good man. Let's talk about it. So in my marriage, I did a lot of covering up. I did a lot of covering up what my husband was doing because I was ashamed. I was guilty. There was something in me that made me believe that because he wasn't doing the things that he had vowed to do, that I was somehow at fault, and that in a good marriage, you cover those things up. You cover for your husband. You have your husband's back. You don't air your dirty laundry out there. You fight for your marriage. You stay in your marriage. And this is what I was raised in. This is the culture. This is the mindset. This is sometimes being a believer in a church. That's what's heard, is that you stay in a marriage. And so you hear about, granddaddy and grandpa and the deacon in the church got a whole nother family. And you hear about all these things, and you believe that as a Black woman that you have to suffer first before you get to love. You hear the whole mindset of, granddaddy did grandma, he cheated, but then he settled down and now grandma don't want for nothing. That's because granddaddy old and crusty and don't nobody want him no more. As a believer, you do not get divorced. I had to change the mindset to say, well, maybe it's something that I'm doing. Maybe I can, if I just, endure it, then he'll change and he'll become the guy that he was for the first 6 months of our marriage. And we're 3 years in, and I haven't seen that guy again. And so when I filed for a divorce and when I finally decided that this was enough, I had so many people coming to me and asking me, hey, why are you letting such a good guy go? Hey, what's going on? I thought he was perfect and he was great. And I had to realize that not only was I divorcing the guy that was not good to me, I was divorcing the image that I had portrayed to everyone else. So now not only was I having to go back and tell the truth of what happened in my marriage and why it was going to divorce, I had to realize within myself that I was part of the reason why people couldn't understand why I was leaving such a good guy.
I'm telling you, it is the wildest thing when you wake up one day and you realize you feel nothing, that it is gone and it's never coming back. And you're not even sure if it was ever really there. Literally, you wake up, it hits you and you're freaked out because you don't understand what's happening. And you just think, how did I get here? How did I build a whole world with this person? And I feel nothing. You almost feel crazy. They're not bad. There wasn't a fight. There wasn't a big event that made you say, I'm done. Like that. And you spend days, weeks, even years trying to deny that you're dead and done. You make coffee, you have dinner, you go out, you even have sex. You just go through the motions like this is gonna come back, right? But wait, what's it even gonna come back to? You don't want to blame someone who's completely unassuming and unaware that all of this is going down in your head and your heart. But then you remember all the little things they didn't do. Not out of meanness, they just didn't do them. They didn't send you those sweet texts. They didn't do those sweet little out of the blue things ever. Every time you gave something exciting to them, they didn't give it back to you. There was a little bit of an eye roll. Maybe they just always made you feel like you're gonna be there and we can kind of just not take this love and this effort seriously. And you just got used to it. You laughed and you appreciated their kindness, their fact that they stuck it out with you. They were good. But maybe all those things added up. Maybe you needed more. Maybe you needed something electrifying. Maybe because they were really nice and really good, you thought it was electrifying, but it never was electrifying. And now you're left with, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep waking up next to this person and I feel nothing. And now I'm starting to go crazy. Now I'm starting to want this thing that I'm realizing was never there. But now I really want it. And now I'm so scared. I might start looking for it. What are you going to do? It's the wildest thing.
There's been a lot of conversation lately about women leaving good men or women walking away from a man that's a quote unquote good man. And I think a part of the problem is that a lot of men define themselves as good men and they actually aren't. These self proclaimed good men think that they are because they don't cheat on women or beat on women. But it takes more to being a good man than not doing those things. And just because a man is a quote unquote good man doesn't mean he's the good man for you. Some of these quote unquote good men don't respect women. They weaponize their incompetence. They don't take care of their children. They're disrespectful. They consume manosphere red pill content all day and they think that women are beneath them. I feel like the men who are acting as if women are being too picky or we're looking for the perfect man if we don't want the quote unquote good guy, it's the same energy as saying for them to settle. It's like the saying goes, give a man 10 women and he'll keep looking. Give a woman 10 men and she'll choose. They want you to choose out of this small batch of men and say, hey, out of these 10 guys, which one do you want? Yeah, but there's more than 10 guys out there. And even if he's the nicest out of the 10, doesn't mean that he's what I want. These men want single women to say close enough, he's good enough, he'll do, but that's not what men say. They take their time. They're in no rush to find what they want, but they want to rush you along. They want to make you feel like you're up against the clock. You're running out of time. Your childbearing years are over. That's why they try to tell you that after 25, you're no good and all that. They have a vested interest in trying to hurry you up and picking one of them because they know if you actually took your time, they wouldn't even get picked.
I have been listening to women share why they left their good husbands, and the patterns are impossible to ignore. These women weren't leaving monsters, they were leaving marriages where they felt invisible. Imagine having date nights, taking cute pictures, doing all the right things, and still feeling unseen. Still feeling like the only adult in the relationship when you have an entire family. Some of these women described starving for desire, begging for the bare minimum, while hyping their husbands up publicly and hiding their flaws privately. They prioritized his comfort over their own well-being, and it was never reciprocated. That kind of emotional malnourishment will drain anyone. What hit me hardest were the women who said, he's a good man, but he's not the man I want my future kids to emulate. That, people, is not selfish. That is clarity. The truth is, love is not enough when you are not equally yoked. A good man can still be a disconnected partner, an emotionally numb husband, or someone who gets lazy once he has sealed the deal. Many realized that they felt lonely inside the marriage, and one woman even admitted that she believed her husband loved her but did not like her. Let that sit with you for a second. Being loved but not liked. I don't even know if that makes sense to me. And boy, oh boy, religion, it complicates things even more. So many women were told that God hates divorce, so they believed suffering was a requirement before blessings. But suffering isn't a love language. God doesn't ask women to disappear just to preserve an image.
Baby girl, the way a man treats you is exactly how he feels about you. So if you have to constantly beg him for effort and affection, that's because he doesn't care.
You know, you disrespect yourself every time you beg someone for bare minimum things like love, attention, affection, support. Don't do that shit again, you hear me?
Always remember this one. When a human being truly loves you, their biggest fear is to hurt you. But when a human being is in love with how you make them feel, their biggest fear is to lose you. And then there is you understanding the difference.
I'm going to hurt a lot of men's feelings with this one. But the reason why a lot of your parents and grandparents stay together for so long isn't necessarily because the relationship was healthy. It's because the women in those generations were financially trapped. You see, a woman back then couldn't just pick up her bags and leave. She relied on a man for survival. So she stayed and she endured, even if she felt unsafe or unloved. But today, a woman can pay her own bills and build her own life. And with that kind of freedom, a man's value isn't in what he provides financially, it's in the quality of the man he actually is, how he treats her, how he speaks to her, and how safe, respected, and emotionally secure she feels beside him. And that right there is why there's a male loneliness epidemic.
So I've been married and divorced 3 times. And if I could say one thing about somebody else that they don't necessarily get to realize or that they even see in themselves. But you gotta understand that you have to love people where they are. And if they're showing a bunch of red flags and a bunch of deal breakers now, you have to know that if you commit yourself to that person, you could potentially be dealing with that for the rest of your life if you're talking about marriage or long-term relationships. So ignore the potential. Just throw that shit away. Go ahead and take a look at where that person is right now. If that's somebody that you can see yourself with long-term until you leave this planet, then you commit to that person. But do not commit to somebody's potential, because that's not something that exists. It doesn't exist.
Ladies, if you're in a relationship and you have to repeatedly ask your man to do certain things to make you happy over and over and over again, you're giving him the blueprint. You are giving him instructions, ways to make you happy, to make you feel valued, secure, protected. If you keep telling that man what you need him to do and he refuses, that means he doesn't love you. Not enough to make the adjustments. You see, you shouldn't have to ask a man more than once to give you what you need. You shouldn't. And if you do have to ask him over and over, it's because either he's not listening or he doesn't care. And if you're in that situation, you need to run, because he never will. Period. I'm going to tell you something right now. A man will do whatever he has to do to satisfy the woman he loves. Period.
If you walked away from a partner who wasn't abusive and wasn't cheating, but you just weren't happy, this is for you. Sometimes ending a relationship has nothing to do with someone being a bad person. You can love someone and still feel completely alone in the relationship. You can respect someone and still realize you've outgrown each other. You can appreciate who they are as a person and still be exhausted because you've been carrying the entire mental load or managing the house and the kids and all of it. I have never met a woman who walked away from a good man without a fight. Usually they've tried for years. There was many conversations and asking for support and begging them for things to be different. And then somewhere along the way, you just stop hoping that things will change and you realize you have to be the one to change. So if you left a marriage that looked fine from the outside, but was slowly breaking you on the inside, you are allowed to choose your own joy and peace over duty. And you're allowed to want a partner, not a roommate. That doesn't make you selfish or dramatic or a quitter or a failure. You are growing and you are evolving as a human being. And sometimes that requires you to walk away from things that aren't growing with you anymore.
This is one of those weird phenomena that keeps happening in toxic relationships where you end up begging them for the bare minimum, like begging them to add you on Facebook, begging them to show you some affection, begging them to show you some love or something like that, begging them to show you that they care about you, begging them to tell you that they love you or something like that. Like you're begging for the bare minimum. Which typically happens when you're in a toxic relationship, y'all. Like when you're in a toxic relationship for a long time and you're surrounded by people that are in healthy relationships and you see what they have, you become jealous of that, y'all. You can become envious of that, and you can take that home, like take that energy home and just say, hey, look, why don't you post me on Facebook? And then you can start an argument based on something that you saw somebody else doing. Stop begging for scraps. Stop begging for breadcrumbs from toxic, narcissistic people, y'all. You are worth more. You deserve more. But I can say that all I want to. You have to actually believe that and take that to heart. Stay empowered.
You cannot connect properly with a woman physically unless you are connecting with her emotionally. You may feel good, my brother, but she don't. You always want a woman to be in a place where she feels connected to you emotionally. If she's not connecting with you emotionally, something deeper is going on with her. Maybe now she's bitter. So now you're resentful, you're bitter, you're angry because he want to talk about facts while all the while ignoring how you feel.
The truth is, some women didn't fall out of love. They fell out of self-betrayal. And some men never realized that being a good man doesn't automatically make you a great partner. But I want to hear from you. Why do you think so many women are leaving men who look good on paper? What do you think is missing in these marriages? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's talk about it.